Bruce Campbell. Tell us what's been the highlight so far of bringing the Evil Dead franchise back for a new generation.
The fact that people have accepted it, because we didn't know. We knew people were clamoring for more Evil Dead, but we weren't sure if they would accept it in this format. And thankfully, they have. They've accepted the new characters. Sam Raimi gave us some good street cred by doing the pilot, but they've accepted the fact that as a TV show, he can't direct every episode. So that's mostly what I'm grateful for. Is that it's one thing to go through all the hassle of making this show, but it's another thing to be accepted by the people after you've done it. So far so good.
One thing that must be really interesting for you, and I'm wondering what it's been like, is seeing people who were never familiar with Evil Dead see this program and then go back and discover the craziness of those original movies. What's been that? What has that been like?
Well, I mean, it's fortunately it's new people going, wow, that old guy's been in these weird movies a long time ago. So whatever gets them to retroactively look at stuff, that's fine. It happened to me on Burn Notice. People were like, who's that guy? And then they found out I was in these strange movies from years ago. So it's fine. Whatever keeps you relevant in this ridiculous, fast-moving world of ours.
Yeah, that's true. I'm one of those people who wasn't really familiar with the old movies, watched the new show, loved it, and thought, what? I've got to watch more of this. Went back, saw it all. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, what did you had to strike a balance between pleasing the diehards and bringing in new fans, and I think that was done really well in the pilot by kind of bringing people up to speed on the mythology. But was there a concern, by Sam and the others and yourself in terms of striking that balance?
There's always a concern. You have to go in a new direction because it's television, so you have to expand your cast, you have to expand your story. But as long as the tone and the intent is the same, we have more blood than I think New Zealand has on their shelves. We have to import it. So you're getting plenty of that. This season is going to be really fun because Ash goes home, so it's a first chance to find out a little bit about Ash. Look, before this series, we didn't know anything about Ash. We knew he was he went from being kind of a milquetoast guy in the first one to sort of a Vietnam veteran in the second one to a brash, ugly American in the third one. And so, we've had to, but that's about it. So now we're going to meet Ash's dad, the great Lee Majors. There's other spoilers that I probably shouldn't tell you, but there are going to be some familiar characters that are going to be returning. So there's a lot of Easter eggs coming in season 2, only because Ash goes to his actual home, which I think is really cool.
And one of the other things that must be really fascinating is the lore of everything over the years. You must have this incredible fan base that you have. I got to tell you, I have a friend who actually has a tattoo of Ash on his leg.
I got 250 pictures of tattoos. I'm on every appendage. I'm going into cleavage, women's cleavage. I've got groovy. I've seen groovy disappearing into a woman's underpants. I couldn't even tell you. There's parts of people's bodies that I haven't seen probably that have groovy or Evil Dead or my face or something on it. My dad was an ad man in Detroit, and he would call those walking billboards. So he'd be very happy about that. I am too, because it takes a lot to get rid of them.
Yeah,
definitely. And to his credit, he has never expressed any regret about that. I'm just like, have there been any other crazy sort of just instances of fandom that you've encountered because of these movies and now the show?
I've signed a lot of boobies, but I don't know that has to do with Evil Dead per se. I don't know. I have fan encounters all the time because I still go to conventions. So they're pretty numerous. Sometimes people mistake me for a guy who loves really horrific things. So I've gotten some poetry that would make your hair curl that someone thought I would really like. So sometimes the perception gets a little loose. Some people come up to the my table where I am at the conventions, and they only call me Ash. They don't call me Bruce, and that's fine because you know what? The check cleared, so you can call me anything you want.
Exactly. I love that. So, Bruce, you're in New Zealand at the moment, shooting season 2. You've shot other series in New Zealand, other genre shows. Tell us about working in New Zealand. Do you like being as far away as possible from the States so you can just focus on getting this show and bringing it back to life?
I will go to the ends of the earth to find entertainment that is worth doing. This is my 4th TV show down here. I did Hercules, Xena, another show, Jack of all trades, and now this one. New Zealand is a great place to work. One, because Auckland has a very high quality of life. So we don't do the horrible hours that sometimes you hear with TV shows because, frankly, people want to go sailing around here or work on their house. They have very high standards here. They don't let the industry take them over, and it's very healthy. But as a result, the Kiwi crews, when you work for 12 hours with them, you got them. You got them for all 12 hours, and they're going to give you their best shot. These are incredibly talented, trained crew members. They go back to Hercules. They go back to Lord of the Rings, King Kong, Avatar. These people can do anything. We need green screen. Like today, I got out of the car. I'm being dropped off. I'm going to get splattered today with a demon goo, and we're doing a massive fire effect. And it's just another day at the office. Without batting an eye, we're doing all these crazy effects because these crew members are so used to doing fantastic material. They don't make movies down here like My Dinner with Andre. They make Lord of the Rings down here. So these are people who've been put under tremendous pressure to make special props, to do amazing stunts. We have the best stuntmen in the world working on our show. So it's kind of ideal. It's an ideal place to work. And there's no Hollywood. There's no paparazzi. There's nothing. Nobody cares down here. They're not that interested. You're just another bloke from another country. And it's very healthy because they don't have idiots with long lenses waiting outside of restaurants here. It's very healthy. You can kind of just live your life and work.
Sounds great.
So one thing I want to just stray just to another thing that you did recently. You were in the 2nd season of Fargo, where you played, well, at the time that you're playing him, former governor of California, Ronald Reagan. How did that come about? And it was an ingenious, bit of casting. How did that come about?
My good buddy John Cameron produces the show. My Golden Globe winning high school buddy, John Cameron. And, you know, we grew up in the 80s. My kids were from the 80s. My kids grew up in the Reagan era, and he was always on television. And look, he's a president that people imitate him. They just imitate him. He has a certain way of speaking. So John and I used to just do Reagan imitations all the time. The trick for Fargo was to not do the imitation, to do it as a full-blown character. And so you got to find that fine line. I was nervous. I sent them a video. I made a video of the speech that I give in the show, and I sent it to Noah Hawley and to John Cameron in advance. And I said, "This is how I'm going to do it. If you want to fire me, now's the time." Because, you know, this is a Emmy-winning show. I was actually nervous about being on Fargo. I'm not nervous about working on Ash versus Evil Dead. That's like slipping on an old pair of shoes, you know. But Fargo, you get nervous because people win Emmys on that show.
Well, people could maybe win Emmys from this show. It's been pushed pretty hard by Stars as a comedy, and it's been really enthusiastically embraced by the critics. It's currently on a 98% rating at Rotten Tomatoes. They love the gory, it's hilarious, it's audacious, it's a great resurrection of Sam's beloved horror franchise. How gratifying has it been for you that the critics have really jumped on board this show?
It's been really satisfying because normally with Evil Dead, 50% of the reviews were bad. The first Evil Dead, we had reviews like Evil Dead, the sickest of the sick, where Sam Raimi took every bad idea he had and put it into a low-budget blender. Those are the reviews that we would normally get. And they could make fun of the cheesy lighting, the bad acting, the bad special effects. Well, now what? Guess what? They can all shove it. See my finger pointing right here? They can all shove it. Because, you know, we go out of our way. We have two excellent directors of photography who make this show look really cool. We have award-winning effects guys. So none of the effects are cheesy anymore. The lighting is really nice. The acting is hopefully better. And we're more experienced as filmmakers. Sam and I were excited to do the pilot for this because we're like, we had both had 20 years under our belt, 25 years since Army of Darkness. That was 1991 was Army of Darkness. So Sam has had 25 years of directing experience. I've had 25 years of acting. We were like, great, now we can finally fix the show. We can fix this character. We can do things that we were not able to do before. So that's half the fun. I feel like George Lucas going back to fix Ash.
Do you have another question, Rob?
Well, I was also just wanted to, it's going to be hard for me to put this in words, but my favorite part of the pilot was, I think, for many people, was getting back into that chainsaw and wielding it at the climax at the end. And when I was watching that, I immediately wondered, I wonder how it felt for Bruce and even the cast and crew when that actually happened, when you were back in the saddle, so to speak. Can you talk us through and take us back to that, of filming that scene, and how it felt to kind of really be back in the, in Ash?
Well, let's not kid ourselves. That scene was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You're in a harness flying through the air. There's nothing iconic about it when you're filming it. It's uncomfortable, and it pinches your groin. That's what that scene is. Beyond that, it was necessary. You had to have those elements. Here's where it landed. The two new actors, Dana De Lorenzo and Ray Santiago, it's the final shot. They pull back. Ash, how do you feel? I feel groovy. That's Ray after the shot. He came up to me. He goes, I get it now. We're in it. We're in this world now. I went, yeah, welcome to it. Now you're trapped like a rat in a sinking ship.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's when it really hit for me. I realized, okay, I get it. I totally get it. Charlie, have you got anything to wrap up before we bid farewell to Bruce?
No, he answered all my questions.
Oh, beauty. Well, look, finally, Bruce, you've inhabited this character for decades, and you've had the opportunity to really inhabit him and kind of finesse him over time, and not a lot of people get the opportunity to do that. And I'm wondering, how do you feel privileged, or how do you feel about bringing this beloved cult classic character to life and now bringing back?
It's cool. It's unusual. I did Ash once in the 70s. I did Ash once in the 80s. I did Ash once in the 90s. And whatever, 2 more decades later. So I missed a decade. Sorry about that one. And now we're making up for it. It's a great chance. It's a great chance to really flesh out the character. And I can be the final arbiter for what comes out of Ash's mouth, only because I know what would or would not come out of his mouth. And it's a great lead role. A lot of heroes are very boring to play. I don't feel that Ash is boring because he's so flawed. He's such an idiot. He makes so many mistakes that it's just great to play a hero like this, where your next door neighbor could do just as good of a job as Ash. It's just he happens to be foretold. You know, he is the chosen one. He is the average man, where, you know, evil will test the mettle of man every so often, and he is that guy. So I think he's mythic and he's idiotic at the same time. It's kind of cool.
Just